motorcycle aficionado. St. Michael's welcomes motorcyclers as well. Those are some pretty cool rides. And while we're here, right behind them is the Parsonage Inn. Kind of looks like a miniature castle, doesn't it? Not sure if it would be right here on Main Street, but maybe they've got soundproof windows. It's a cute little building architecturally, though. Now, if you drive to St. Michael's by car, this is the entrance to the parking lot at the Maritime Museum. What you see before you is a drawbridge. This drawbridge used to connect the little town of St. Michael's to Tillman Island, which is a little bit south of here. You're looking at that and you're saying, how did they keep that up there? Well, on the left-hand side, there's a counterweight to the bridge. It's filled with cement. And although it's a slight exaggeration to say that it served perfectly balanced that a small child could move that bridge up and down, it actually doesn't take much energy on the part of an electric motor to do that. But this bridge got old. They've replaced it with a new drawbridge, and so this one got moved here piece by piece and then reassembled. So when you drive under it, don't worry about it falling down. On the other hand, if I were you, I wouldn't linger, because there's always that very, very, very remote possibility. But nah, it's not going to happen. But this is the entrance to the Maritime Museum just off of Talbot Street. Now, although this is an antique and classic boat show, they do have some cool cars here. This is a Mustang. Looks like one of the early years, 1964. That was quite a few years ago, so this is old enough now probably to be a classic, certainly not an antique. We've got some other cool cars coming in. Here's a modern Thunderbird and a great Corvette, and I'm going to have to get out of the way because those folks want to pull right in where I am. What year's your Corvette? What year? 59. 1959. It's great looking. So here we go, a 1959 Corvette. Don't you love that style? Now, people probably are familiar with the phrase Hudson Hornet, but not too many have seen one. But there it is. There's a Hudson Hornet. And we're going to look at a DeSoto, an Intrepid DeSoto. Here we have a DeSoto Adventurer. Now, a lot of our viewers are probably saying, DeSoto, I don't even remember that name, but it's like a lot of the car companies that existed in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. They gradually got absorbed by the Chrysler Corporation, but they don't make a DeSoto model any longer. But this is an Adventurer. We're going to walk up a little bit closer here and take a look at the interior. Look at all those gauges and buttons. You notice that there's no shifter. I think those buttons, they tried that for a few years. Rather than have a single shifter for forward, reverse, and park, they used buttons, and I think that's what you see on that dashboard. Must have not worked out well because they didn't continue doing it. It also looks like perhaps the first air conditioning. Cars used to have wind wings, that's what they were called, and that's this little item right here. You could open that and it would cause the breeze to come in. They use those to cool the drivers and passengers off before the advent of air conditioning, which now most of us take for granted. So here we go, one last look at the DeSoto Adventurer. You don't see grills like that anymore. So this is On the Road. I'm Steve Eizan. We're looking at cars, even though this is a classic and antique boat show. We'll be right back. Don't push that remote. Please stay with us. So now, is this elegant or what?
Right now, we're just going to wait for Dave to get there. He's walking.
Every year, the Maritime Museum has a Concours d'Elegance. And they have wonderful pre-war vintage cars. We're going to slowly walk around as we take a look at this one. This is making a guest appearance here at the Maritime Show to advertise the Concours d'Elegance. That's wood that you see at the top of the car there, highly varnished. And look at those exhaust cylinders. This is a wonderful looking car. We're going to get around in just a second and be able to see the whole thing at a glance. I'd like to be able to drive one of those. The Concours d'Elegance, also here at St. Michael's later in the year. Well, the boat show, as you can see now, is in full swing. We're going to take a slow panoramic turn from left to right, so hold on to your chairs for just a moment. You can see there are a lot of people here. It's a brilliant sunny day. People are having a great time. We, of course, as I've said before, are at the St. Michael's Chesapeake Maritime Museum. I think they have about 40 acres here. A lot of buildings, a lot of wonderful boats. Of course, it's the Antique and Classic Boat Show that's in town this weekend. So not all the boats that you see here are here every weekend, but they do have a lot of good old boats. So this is a wonderful day trip. If you're thinking, what can we do for the kids? This is what you can do. They're going to love this place. We've got more interviews coming up. We're going to take a tour of the city, so please stay with us because we're on the road. I'm Steve Eisen. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. I'm here with Dave Newcomer. He has a fascinating craft. That is, he is a craftsman and a craftsman in wood. And we're going to take a look at some of the things that he's doing in just a moment. But Dave, first, welcome to the show. How long have you been doing this?
About 15 years now.
15 years. All right. So you're going to keep at it until you get it right.
Oh yeah. Until I get it right, I keep going.
Well, let's take a look. First, you're working on a big chunk of wood here. Let me pull back just a little bit for our readers. Okay, our listeners. This looks like it's going to be a big whale.
Yep, it's Moby Dick. It'll be painted white when I'm all done.
The great white whale.
Yep. Story of that fascinating. But
by Herman Melville. All right, and do you call that a hammer?
Yeah, this is a hammer.
Just plain old hammer. All right, no special name.
No special kind.
What about some of your other tools that I see there?
Well, I have the gouges.
Gouges, all right.
This is regular flat chisel. You buy it in Lowe's or Home Depot.
Okay.
And this is my biggest tool. It's the utility knife.
Right.
It does most of the work of what you see hanging here.
All right. Well, let's take a look and see what you have hanging.
Okie doke.
And okay, so now we're taking a look at some of Dave's work. Dave.
These are the fish I make.
All right.
This is a rainbow trout. I use slab wood from the sawmills. That's the first cut off the outside of the tree. So it has knots in it and other things, which I like to leave in my carving, as well as the actual surface of the tree here.
Right, gives them some personality.
Yep, and it's a lot of character and unusual qualities to the fish. That's how I make them. First bandsaw out the basic shape, and then go back with that small utility knife you saw.
Right.
Do the detail work.
And how long would it take you to do a fish like that?
I once was told it takes about 15 years and maybe 5 or 6 hours.
It's the first 15 years that are the toughest, right?
Yeah, because you learn all the little tricks to make that 5 and 6 hours possible.
What about the blue fish behind you there? Is that all one piece of wood or is that several?
That's made of 3 separate pieces of wood.
Okay.
Each piece has 4 fish on it. 1,
right.
2, 3, 4 is one piece.
Okay.
That's the second piece, and this is the third piece.
All right. It all comes
They're all held together.
All right.
And that's how you make up the groupings.
All right. Well, tell me about another piece, and then I'm going to ask you how folks get in touch with you. But tell me about another piece that you're particularly proud of.
Here's another grouping. This is done on a grouping of panels of wood. They had unusual grain to them. Painted it like water.
Right.
The sun comes in at the top where it's light and gets darker as you go down.
Right.
These are bluefish. Unusual about this, every way you count these bluefish, it counts to 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Works off 3s.
Well, somebody could be counting for all day long then and never...
Yeah, you can. It's like a round robin.
I think it is. Well, Dave, if someone wants to get in touch with you to have them have you carve them a special fish or to buy one that you already have, how do they do it?
They write to me at my home address.
Okay.
And P.O. Box 3292, North Conway, New Hampshire, 03860.
New Hampshire, huh? So then, so you do a lot of this when you're snowed in the winter then?
Oh, that's about it. Yeah, I sit in front of the wood fire.
Right.
Making chips to feed the fire. And I also come down for the Optimist Club boat show over in February.
Right.
Over at the Ocean City Convention Center.
All right.
With the Optimist Club.
Good. Well, it's a fascinating story. Thanks for sharing it with us. So
you're welcome.
That's Creations by Dave. I'm going to give you that title for a moment there.
Thank you.
Again, Dave, let's have that address one more time just in case somebody wants to buy a fish.
It's P.O. Box 3292.
All right.
North Conway, New Hampshire, 03860.
Okay, and they can just address it to Dave.
Address it to Dave Newcomer.
Dave Newcomer. All right, Dave Newcomer, thank you very much. This is On the Road. Now, the boat that's right in front of us is what's known as a bug eye. And this is a boat that fishermen would go to get crabs on, or in the winter, when crabs are out of season, they'd go get the oysters. Now, due to mechanization, however, though, these boats couldn't compete. And so you'll see the little boat right at the very end. That's called a pusher boat. That's motorized. The bug eye itself does not have an engine. So 3 days a week by state law, the little pusher boat can push the bug eye and they can make a lot more time. Looking at some of the boats in the background, this one in the distance is called a buy boat. It's been restored. Now a buy boat would go out into the middle of the Chesapeake and it would meet up with one of the bug eyes, for example, and it would buy the crabs or it would buy the oysters. That's why it's called a buy boat. There aren't many buy boats left, but there's one that's restored. Next to that, there's a small boat that has a really neat stern. That's the rear end of a boat. That stern is called a drake tail, sort of like maybe taking after the drake-tailed duck. But that's a waterman's boat. I don't know if you can see it, but there is a little lever on the right-hand side of the boat, about 2/3 of the way back. And that's actually where he would control the speed of the boat, so he did not have to go in the little wheelhouse. He could fish for crabs or oysters and steer the boat at the same time back there in the stern. Alright, so we have Nikki. Nikki is trying to catch an oyster. There are some directions right here to her left, and she's trying her best. Have you got any oysters yet, Nikki?
Oh, absolutely not.
Absolutely.
Absolutely not.
Now, are these the kind of oysters that have pearls?
I doubt it. I very much doubt it.
Are there even any oysters down there?
Oh. I also doubt that as well.
Jessica, all right, now I see that you have one shell already down there.
We're just here.
One shell.
Ta-da.
Ta-da. So do you suppose that at night the museum people come and throw more shells back over?
To make us feel good about ourselves?
Well, exactly. Well, these little devils are quick. They don't like being picked up, but this young man's going to try. You get him? Well, look at that. Alright, it's not easy picking up these crabs. But you can do it if you come to St. Michael's. You can give it a try. Alright, look at that crab right there. And the skillful young man that picked him up. Alright. Alright, so much for crabs. But you can pick up a crab, or you can try to if you come to the Maritime Museum. Great houses here, and some bed and breakfast. And my friend Paul is an architect. And before we go take our architectural tour, what can you tell them about the city?
Well, it's a lovely little town. It's grown here substantially. It was just a seaport. It was an early seaport during the Civil War period and later. There's some lovely little houses of the 17th century. They've been restored. It's very quaint. It's a beautiful place to visit, particularly when the weather's lovely, and some great places for food and drink. So please come and visit us.
Alright, so we're going to take that architectural tour. Please stay with us. Let's go tour St. Michael's. In this segment, we're going to take a look at some bed and breakfasts in St. Michael's, as well as a couple of homes that have architectural prominence and are very old. St. Michael's is a very old town. What you're looking at right now is the Victoriana Inn. It's a B&B and it's right on the edge of the harbor, so you're only about 100 feet away. This beautiful B&B is the Hamilton Inn. It was built in 1860. It's been restored, but it's also right on the edge of the harbor, so you're only just a very short walk away from the Maritime Museum as well as all the harbor activities. Now B&Bs come in all sizes and shapes. This little B&B is called the Snuggery. With a name like that, it almost makes you want to go right on in and snuggle up, but we've got to continue our tour, so let's keep going. This B&B is known as the Dr. Dodson House, and the interesting thing about it is the left-hand side of the house was built in 1872, but the right-hand side in 1799. If you look closely, starting from left to right on the porch, the second bay is where the dividing line is. Let's continue our tour. We're right now at the corner of Locust and Cherry Street. There's a lot of historical interest in this area. Now, isn't this a cute little cottage? Decades ago, that was probably the home of a waterman. These days, you can probably rent it for a week at a time for a summer vacation. Here we have two little homes that are architecturally virtually the same, except they're painted different. I know that both of these are available for rent. A week at a time, I think. Overnight, perhaps on long weekends. These are also just a few steps from the harbor. Now we're standing in front of the Two Swan Inn bed and breakfast. The main building is the one that you see directly ahead of you. But there's also this little outbuilding called, I believe it's Captain's Rest. And there's actually two separate little apartments. I think it's also through the Two Swan Inn that you could rent those two houses that you saw just a moment ago. Now, it's also very close to the water. As a matter of fact, it's right across from a working boatyard. This is called Higgins. They've been here for decades. They've got very reasonable prices for docking for those of you that want to come and stay at their dock. We'll slowly pan around so that you can see their marina facility. As you can see, this is a working area. There's a big crane right there. So this is the Higgins Marina. Got some fairly sizable boats, but they've got some little ones as well. I'm sure yours would fit here if you wanted to come over. They're in the phone book. Just give them a call. Well, spring is in the air at St. Michael's. We just happened on this bride and groom getting photographed. Perhaps their wedding's later this afternoon. We hear church bells in the background. Young ladies waving. This is not their house though, because actually you see it's for sale, but it's an excellent prop. So we're going to continue on and let the young couple have their photographic time together before they start their life together. This is On the Road. I'm Steve Izant. We're continuing our home tour in St. Michael's, Maryland. Well, this is the W.R. Melson House. The plaque says 1840. Obviously it's been refurbished since that time, but it's also available for rent. There's no plaque that tells us how old this particular house is, but when you look at the exterior of the brick and the way it's constructed, you have to think that this is easily probably a couple of 100 years old. It's been refurbished that time. It's in great shape, as are most of the homes here in the historic district of St. Michael's. This house is known as the Harrison House. It's available for rent. The plaque on it says 1790. That's pretty old. They're trimming the grass off to our right. You've seen people mow the lawn before, so I'm not going to take time to show you that because we're focused on the architectural beauty of the houses here in St. Michael's. Now we're in the little St. Michael's Park, and you see a couple of cannon right in front of you. St. Michael's bills itself as the town that fooled the British during the War of 1812, and I'm going to slowly pan, and to your right to show you the St. Michael's Harbor from a different angle. During the War of 1812, spies said that the British were coming and they were going to attack the town of St. Michael's. Allegedly, the people of St. Michael's lit all the lanterns they could and climbed high up into the trees and hung them up in the trees so that when the British arrived at night, they aimed those cannons at the lanterns hanging in the trees. They missed, of course, all the town, although some of the trees got shattered. There was one cannonball that went through a roof and rolled down some stairs and then landed in a bathtub, but that's just history or perhaps legend. But St. Michael's, the town that fooled the British, we're looking out toward the Miles River. We see some boats coming in. It's a full weekend here. We're going to continue our architectural tour. Please stay with us. We're at the corner of Water Street and Mulberry Street, and as promised, finally we're continuing our house tour. There's not much more though, so please stay with us for this segment. We've got the cutest little house right behind me, so we're going to swing right over to that one. Well, I'm not sure what the historical significance of this house is, but architecturally, it's well composed, well maintained. Just the kind of place that you'd like to live in if you didn't want to do a lot of work and if you wanted to live in a vacation type of environment, which is what St. Michael's is during the spring, summer, and fall seasons. It does get a little quiet here in the winter. Well, I love it when they put plaques on the houses because this one here says circa 1831 to 1875. So the portion on the right was probably built first. 1875 they added that portion. And then just to make everything complete, how about this cool 57 Chevy? Bel Air, I think. Well, this is going to be the last house on our house portion of the tour because we've got lots of other things to see and show, but this one pretty spectacular in terms of size and architecture, but also look at that garden. I wish I knew my flowers better. They're purple. They got a lot of green leaves. They're beautiful. Someone does a great job of maintaining those. And this is a wonderful house to end our tour. But we've got more coming up. We're still on the road. Please stay with us. Another aspect of St. Michael's is its main street. It's called Talbot Street. It runs right through the heart of St. Michael's. And oh, we had breakfast there this morning. There are some great shops. Do you have a favorite shop, or is the breakfast in the bar part your favorite shop?
I think that's probably my favorite, is the Carpenter Street Saloon on Carpenter Street. Probably a historic location. A great place for breakfast and lunch and activities in the evening. There are also some other great shops, local venue, great food and drink, great opportunities for enjoy. Certainly, though, architecturally, it's a place to visit if you're enjoying that kind of period.
The thing that's interesting that is coming right up is that I don't think there's a single national brand here in St. Michael's. So these are all local entrepreneurs. There's some great shops, so let's take a look. Well, we're going to start our little Main Street tour by focusing on St. Luke's Methodist Church. I was thinking about focusing on the shopping here, but then, guys, maybe you wouldn't be quite as interested. So, ladies, don't worry, we've got some shopping coming up. But let's start first with the civic life. St. Luke's Methodist Church, right across the street. I'm going to focus on that in a second. The church that was founded in 1671. This building for St. Luke's, actually it's rather new, although they've got beautiful stained glass. It was built in 1971, so by comparison it's just a baby with most of the other buildings here in town. But let's take a look at that other church, where the membership founded it in 1671. So I'm going to show you two views of this church just because it is so architecturally significant. Slate roof. It also has stained glass windows. I love the red door because it's a marvelous contrast. And if you belong to this church, it looks like you can be buried right here next to the church. You don't have to go far at all. Next shot coming up is the front of the church. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the church parish was founded in 1671. I'll see if I can find out when this building was actually built. I doubt if it was built in 1671. Okay, so Christ Church, St. Michael's Parish. Parish started in 1671. The church itself, though, reasonably old, built in 1878. All right, ladies, as promised, we do have some shopping. Here's the Christmas shop, and it's right next to the candy shop, St. Michael's Candy Shop. homemade candies, and 24 flavors of Maryland Farm Fresh ice cream. We've got some other stores here. Looks like you can, the brightly lit one there, brightly colored, you can buy whirligigs and kites. Alright, so we also have the Candleberry shop. Anything you want in candles. How about Willow Bells? Looks like some dresses. And there's the Sweet Bakery, and isn't that a sweet looking little building, but the stuff inside I bet is even better. A little further down the street, the Medicine Shop. As you can see, it's a busy day on Main Street. This is Talbert Street in St. Michael's. More shopping coming up, please stay with us. And we've also got the Sweet Factory. We've got the Town Hall Mall. We've got Coco and Company, an apparel store. Not quite sure what that one is. But ladies, I'm only doing one side of the street. There's a whole bunch of stuff behind me as well. So there is a lot of shopping. Besides things to do in the harbor and the wonderful Maritime Museum, there's shopping. And we haven't even touched the restaurants yet. We probably won't have time for that, but there are a number of good restaurants along Main Street, as well as the ones that are right there in the harbor. Alright, so we've got toll beads. We've got Broken Rudder Sportswear. We've got a couple of heads that just walked through the shop there, but that's okay. And we've got, thank you very much, we've got ice cream on the corner. A place right here called Flamingo, although we don't have many customers for Flamingo. But do you want a pink flamingo for your lawn? You can get it right here. I think they probably got pink flamingo lights as well. Shopping on St. Michael's. Alright, we're going to have to make this the last segment on shopping here. There's Charisma Clothing Boutique. There's Philheim Designs and Jewelry. We're going to sneak in a restaurant right there. It's a wonderful bar. That little place right there serves the best breakfast in town. We got a real estate company. We've got a few more shops. There's another ice cream shop there. Ice cream is big in St. Michael's, especially during the summer. Just heard a car honk. It's not honking at me though, it's somebody else. And of course there's the Acme Market. So everything you could possibly want is right here on Talbert Street in St. Michael's. So that concludes our shopping and civic tour of Main Street. Well, that completes our trip to St. Michael's. We've had a great time. Paul, we've done a tour of Main Street. We've an architectural tour. We've been out at Navy Point, the Maritime Museum. Of all these things, what did you like best?
I think I like the museum best because it's on the water. It has a historic lighthouse. It has lovely boats, vintage as well as classic boats that we have here at the show this time of year. So it offers a lot of opportunities. I think it's my favorite location.
It's a great day trip, as I've said before. St. Michael's is a wonderful little place. The Maritime Museum is just a gem that more people should know about. So this is the end of On the Road. I'm Steve Izant with my friend Paul Warner. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.